I got money on my mind. I'm just trying to get some dough. I ain't picking up my line unless it's money on the phone.
So what was important for me when I first left Motown and realized that when I got to Arista Records, that there were no salt and pepper hair black men walking around, right? So in the music business, you're not gonna see, a whole bunch of like, ha, 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 didn't we do well? Jerry, Dave, this has been a great run. Like you 65, 70, 80 years old, right? You're not gonna see no, hey, 70-year-old black man still in music because it's a different game, right? If you look at, the complexion of music, it's not for us longevity wise. We're viewed as, a young man's, you got to be here. You got to be hot, B. I got to keep my head. If I come in here with my age, young gray, you OG now. Now, why can't I just be like Benny, right? And the thing is, they don't have to be OG'd out because OG is, I don't even like, people can't even call me that, right? You can't call me OJ because that dates you. That puts you in a perspective. Love the respect and the connotation of what it is. But in business, you can't be the OG because it starts with old, right? How can you be relevant saying you not when you old? Like, call me the young G then. Don't OG me, call young G me, right? And that's what the perception becomes is like at some point, older black men can't just be wise and be relevant in the game. You got to be old, right? But, our counterparts, they can stay and keep and redevelop and make mistakes and, stay in 60s, 70s, 80s. I pay all y'all $1,000 if you can get me one 70-year-old black man that's still working in a major label. One 60-year-old black man that's still working in a major label, right? And at the point with that is that, and that's just not in music, right? That's indicative in business. But because we are, as you stated, cultural, right? The culture chews you up fast. So if you don't find a way to either pivot, right? Figure it out and latch yourself in, i.e. equity, then it's coming. So don't be afraid of the exit because the exit is coming. And that's where I decided when I realized it was not going to be a retirement party for me, I started in real estate. So every bonus that I earned for 20 years went into purchasing something new. I never just, went and bought. I have fun too though, right? Yeah. You know how we do it. Like if it's 11, the odd number, you spend that, right? But you keep the round number, right? Y'all know from the South. You know how we do, right? The odd number, I'm gonna spend all the odd, right? Right. But the even, I'm saving that. And for me, my savings was brick and mortar, right? I wanted to, be conservative, right? But also, prepare for retirement. So I created my own retirement. Is how I started my company. Alj Brit, which we have now over 100 doors around the country. And that was due to looking at a situation and figuring out like, I'm not gonna be, an unsung, right? I'm not gonna be that story. I'm not gonna be what happened now, right? And it doesn't make me better or worse. It's like, why we all here right now? So our people don't have to make the mistakes, right? Not, knowing like, when you're in your prime earning years, you need to make that money matter, right? You can't be flossing. Don't get caught up. Right? And, it's just important, right? For us to really just be keen in on what we're doing, when we're doing it.
Man, you just touched on to a whole lot of shit that we gotta pull that apart right quick, man.
I like that he mentioned the buying the properties again, because that's like, we just had an episode not long ago with A. Donahue Baker. He got his start in the music industry as well, and it was that similar perspective with it, where it was like, okay, I'm making these big checks, but these big checks, they not gonna keep coming. I gotta turn this into forever money.
Yeah, and I like how you had that foresight, because I'm pretty sure with what you were doing, you were able to see the story happen numerous of times. People get hot, they make the money, then once they're not hot, they throw you to the side. So you had that foresight to say, okay, I can't be this. I can't let that be me. So I'm about to start putting it into something that's going to start paying me back. So that was so smart on your part for you to have that foresight. But it also talks to about being a business person. And I kind of want to go back to how you were alluding to that with the artists. How do you think artists could be better business people coming into this game? How can they educate themselves or set themselves up for success before they even meet these deals, like you said? So how can they make sure that they're coming at this with the most logical way?
So I would say this, right? My entire journey, it was never about me. It was about my team, right? And it's no different than anything else, unless you're playing a solo sport, like if you're a golfer or swimmer, right? You know, most things that we watch are team sports, soccer, football, basketball, right? So you have to learn how to play with others and obviously process, you know, what's best for the team. And obviously being the talent, right? We all have different strengths and weaknesses. So examining yourself is first. You know, what am I really good at outside of just the artistry, right? Like, because you can't just zone out and I'm just the artist and lose everything, right? Like, so now it's taking baby steps, right? Figure out, you know, what's my need and how do I, as we were talking earlier, is how do I find the best people who are going to support me and be in this with me? You know, in any business that I do, accountants and lawyers are always important, right? So first start there, right? And either from recommendations, right? Always keep your books in order. Like right now, you can QuickBooks, you know, if you're figuring that out on your own, but don't be afraid of money, right? Don't be, it's better to learn on a curve with a little bit of money than learn on a curve with a lot of money, right? Because then you can just adjust. I mean, there's been times as I was figuring out, I take money and just put it in a checking account. I want to gain interest. I want nothing. I just want to know it's there until I figure it out, right? Because you don't always have to move. And sometimes, you know, stepping back and being silent and in control is far more important. But you have to be defined on who you are and what it is that you're building. Like looking at the exit, right? When you decide where you want to be, now you make moves to get there. If you just don't, right, then everything sounds good. So planning is important for not only just artists, for us as people, right? Think beyond just the moment. Think beyond just, next week. Think beyond, you know, next month, hand to mouth. Think about like, where do I see myself? And once you see yourself there, then you can move there. But if you don't see it, how can you? You aimless, B. You lost.
Hold on, I got it. Message. I had to hit him with it. But that's great advice because too many times, I remember whenever the thing happened with Joe Budden and Lil Yachty, Joe Budden was asking Lil Yachty like really great questions like, what's going on? Do you know your deal? And he's like, nah, man, I'm just having fun. Like, this is what it is. But then a few years later, I saw that it was something going on with his deal where it was like, he realized, oh man, I am kind of getting fucked here.
A lot of people at QC said
exactly. And it's like, people were looking at Joe Budden saying, oh man, he's just hating on him. But in the actuality, he was just trying to tell him, hey man, you need to understand that this isn't going to be forever. You need to understand your exit. So the way that you put it in a very eloquent way. Just understand where you're going after you start. It's always going to have to be an exit strategy. Even with anything you're investing in, it always has to be an exit strategy. I don't even care if it's a new job that you're starting. You need to start looking at the exit strategy. I had tweeted something a few days ago. A young lady said, hey, I just got hired making $100,000. And back to what we were talking about, if they're paying her $100,000, I said, baby girl, you're worth more than that. You're about to make them more than that. If they're willing to give you that at 22 years old, you're about to make them millions of dollars. And I said, while you're there, you need to understand and develop skills that can make you even more valuable so they won't be able to replace you. Or once your time is done, you can move on and still continue to accumulate those things. And some people kind of said I was hating, but I'm like, nah, it's all a part of the exit strategy. You have to understand where you're going after you start.
And I think what you just really killed it, Jalen. And what's important for us is, in corporate is great, right? And I guess you got to think now, this generation, right? Millennials and Gen Z, right? Corporate is not where they may land in the beginning, right? And corporate is different in 2020 than it was in 2019, right? Which will be forever moving forward, because just the structure of how people are moving. But what the value, right? What a corporation will do, even is give you structure, right? And allow you, no different than people that go in the military, right? They go in the military for what, right? For whatever reasons moves them there, but what they do come out is organized, right?
Yes.
You have structure, right? And then you move to do however you do, right? And that's the same thing as going into a corporation. You should be thinking about, okay, I'm going to take this for what the value of it is and be an entrepreneur, right? Is well, because at the end of the day, you can't be corporate too long. And for me, I've always had 2 plan A's, right? I don't do that B thing. It was 2 plan A's. I worked a full-time job in music and ran a full-time real estate portfolio, right? So I'm working on me in both aspects. So at the end of the day, it gives you a different kind of gravitas and strength walking into these companies, knowing like, I could care less what you say, right? Like I'm not fearful of coming to work because I've already provided, I've provided for myself. And you make different decisions and choices that'll help you grow when you're not coming in scared every day, right? And we should always find out what we're good at, because we're good at more than one thing always. We Black folk, right? We good at a lot of things, right? And realize how to hone your skill and find the value and realize when it is time. But moving forward, we definitely have to be, in you guys in your audience, right? And us as a community, knowing like, yo, we have to think beyond just, getting me every 2 weeks.
So Benny, I want to jump into D.Verse now, man, because I read into it's pretty interesting what you built out. And I think the people definitely need to know more about D.Verse. Like, can you explain it more to them?
So D.Verse is, I can't even take the credit, like my son. So for his 18th birthday, I decided like I wanted to give him a gift that could last forever, right? And something that long after he would remember. So I told him on his 18th birthday, I'm gonna give you an LLC, right? So we needed a name, right? And he called it D.Verse Records. He wanted D.Verse Records. So got him the LLC, so he has his own company. And part of that is going back once again, teaching our kids how to deal with business, right? Yo, forget buying them Gucci, forget buying them a $20,000 car that you're paying $400 a month so your kid got a brand new car. Give them a business so they understand how to move out here, right? That's what we have to go back to, that, right? Fundamentals. And so when I decided that I was gonna do my own thing, I came up with all these names and this and that. Name just wasn't hot, right? My name's, so I said, yo, man, listen, it's yours first. I'm just asking you for permission. Yo, can I have a little bit of that D-Verse, right? And he was like, yes. So I called my company's D.Verse Media, which is a distribution model, which I give artists independent deals, right? Where they can still maintain their masters, give them advances, give them knowledge, give them wisdom, help maneuver them through at a rate that, is negotiable on coming onto the site. Signed an artist, a little young lady out of Jackson, Mississippi. Her name is Paris Gatlin. She's quite amazing. So we also do repertoire, sign them directly to the label, and we also do licensing deals where you maintain your masters and we'll upload your music and help you with your marketing.
That's what's up.
Hey man, that's dope as hell.
That's the new wave, definitely, with that, what you just mentioned, that licensing deal. I noticed that's a huge conversation around music right now. Everybody want their masters, everybody wants to own their masters. So I'm glad that you're offering that as an option with your company, because I just see that conversation so much now.
In question, I did have a question kind of looping back to something that you had said previously. I know you said working companies, if nothing else, can help you kind of gain that structure. Do you feel like kind of cutting your gums, working with radios and, you know, doing the distribution kind of like that, did that help you with what you're doing now as far as getting artists, getting their music out there now?
So are you referring to my early days at Motown?
Mm-hmm.
So absolutely. I mean, that was the whole journey of music. The exposure set me up to be at this point. And you know, there's different entry points and exits for executives, right? Some of us, some there's a longer window for some and shorter for others. And I think the value of what you learn in the time that you spend in a situation is really important. And my journey, I've learned a lot, right? And the biggest lesson for me in all of this is giving back, right? And I think at the beginning of this, you guys like, yo, you here? It's like, why wouldn't I be here? Like, I love what y'all do, right? Y'all youth, right? Y'all have an incredible audience, right? And ultimately, if people like me don't give it to you, then it dies, right? And then we always have to start over. And that's the problem with us as Black people. We cool with dying with it than sharing it. It hurts for us to share, right? And we just have to learn, like, you know what, it's okay, right? Usas, give it to me, baby, right? And just let it go, right? You take this and hold it. Because what you do with it, I couldn't do with it anyway. Because it's you. It's not me, right? But I want to help us by giving it to you.
And I love that. I love how that's how you're paying it forward. And a lot of people, well, people starting to come around, but like you said before, a lot of people are too comfortable with dying with it. Or even whenever it comes to money, I've heard people say, I'd rather spend it all than leave it for the people behind me.
Right.
And that's the most selfish bullshit I've ever heard. Like, why would you rather spend it all instead of letting it accumulate and trickle down to someone who, instead of making them start from the starting line or behind the starting line, why wouldn't you help them start from a checkpoint? So I just love, and I just had to applaud you for that. And I wanted to applaud you for what you did with your son also. Like you said, you could have bought him a car for his 18th birthday. You could have bought him some kind of Gucci or whatever, but you said, no, let me show you how to actually make money. Let me teach you how to fish and do this on your own. So even if I were to pass away tomorrow, you're at least able to go out there and get it and provide for yourself and your family in the future.